Hi everyone. Today I will demonstrate how to set up a EKS cluster and how to configure a Jenkins server with all the necessary tools like Docker, Trivy, and kubectl, and all these things. And we will configure another server with SonarQube. Uh, Once all these servers are configured, a cluster is ready, then we'll do a deployment for an Spring Boot application. Okay, let's see one by one. First of all, we'll deploy the EKS cluster. Okay. To deploy the EKS cluster, I'm going to use the cloud formation in the AWS. It will be very easy to deploy EKS cluster. Okay. There are different ways to set up a EKS cluster. Here we can directly create manually using AWS console. Otherwise, we can use a Terraform and EKS ETL. Also, we can use to set up EKS cluster. Here, I'm going to use the first option with the cloud formation. I'm going to configure this EKS cluster. Okay, right? But to set up a EKS cluster, we need the entire networking part, right? VPC, subnets, private subnets, public subnets, and route tables, all these things. Everything we need to set up. If we want to do the manually, if we want to do it manually, it takes a lot of time. So for that purpose, we are going to use this cloud formation link. Uh, by using this, we can do it easily. Let me do that one. We have to this one. Yeah, we have to open the cloud formation. We need to create a stack first. Then here choose an existing template, build a infrastructure like this. So we have to use this one. So click on next. Just give a name. Just EKS, VPC like that. If you want, you can change the CID range for VPC, subnets, all these things. I'm keeping all the default ones. So if you want, you can change. Okay. Then click on next. Here, so whenever we are going to create all these public subnets and VPC setup. So submit. So it is in progress. It takes some time. Let's wait. Meanwhile, we'll check what is the further process. Here I am going to provide the entire documentation in my GitHub link. So how to set up a EKS cluster, Jenkins installation, AWS credential configuration, further SonarQube server installation. What are the tools and plugins we need to configure in the Jenkins server? And all these things I'm going to provide in this documentation. Each and everything will be there. Here, these are the steps. So these are the steps we need to use for configuring EKS cluster. If you want complete guide, you can use this PDF also. So step by step, I have provided in this PDF for creating EKS cluster. So like this, you can use all the complete documentation to do it your own. Okay, we'll see what happens. It's still in progress. Once it is ready, then we can create the EKS cluster. First of all, we need to create an EKS cluster and we need to create IAM role for EKS cluster first. In that role, we need to add necessary permissions like cluster policy and service EKS service policy, EKS block storage policy, and load balancing policy. These two are optional. These two are mandatory permissions required to create a cluster. And in the trust policy also, we require this service. So this taxation is not necessary, but on real-time standards they use this one also. Here we are using this assume role trust policy is mandatory. So once EKS role is created, then we can going to create EKS cluster with the VPC and EKS role what we have created earlier. So like this, we have to follow the steps. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's still in progress. It takes some time. So let me pause the video. Once it is created, then we'll move further. Okay. Our networking part is done. It is ready. Now we will create the EKS cluster. For this, we have to select the Kubernetes, Elastic Kubernetes services. Here we have to create a cluster. Select this custom configuration. If you select this quick configuration with EKS auto mode, it will create with this some high-end EC2 types. So we don't require that one. We want to create our own custom configuration. So select this custom configuration option and disable this use EKS auto mode. Next, give a name for this one. Demo cluster, whatever name you can give. And here we have to select the IAM role. So already I have created IAM role. Otherwise, I will show how to create this one. Let me show that one first. See, in the IAM console, we need to create a role. Click on role and click on create role. Here for AWS or select EKS cluster. Select EKS cluster here. It will allow us to cluster Kubernetes control plane to manage AWS service on yourself. Okay. We have to select this one. Next, it will by default it will give the EKS cluster policy. So, but we have to add some more policies, right? Already I have shown here in the documentation part. These three policies also we need to add. So let me do that. This is the trust policy, right? Here you have to edit and in the, otherwise once we created also we can add not an issue. Create a role name EKS cluster role. So this is the default role, default trust policy. So we no need to add anything extra. So create a role. So our EKS cluster role is ready. In this, we need to add those three permissions also. In this add permission option, we have to attach policies. So here we have to attach these three policies also. Okay. Select this one, add permissions. Once it is added, you can able to see here, add remaining two also. It is block storage, all these things, we need to, it is useful to configure the EBS CSI drive. For that purpose, we are attaching this and add one more policy, which is load balancing policy. These last two are not mandatory. If you want, you can avoid, but I'm adding these two also. So I have added all the four permissions what we required here. So let me recheck once again. The EKS cluster policy and EKS service policy, EKS block storage policy, and as well as EKS load balancing policy. In the trusted relationship also, here I have adding these tag sessions. If you want, you can add these tag sessions also. Let me do that one. Just edit trust policy, add this code block and update this one. See, our cluster role is ready. Now we have to attach this newly created cluster role. For this purpose, just refresh once again. Yeah, you can see it here. EKS cluster role. Select that one. In the next part, we have to select the Kubernetes version. Select the any latest. Latest one is 1.32. So here you can see up to what time it will Kubernetes going to support these versions. It is end of the standard support is November 2025. November 26 to 2025. You can select anyone. I'm selecting this 1.31 version. Here just keep it as standard. And this one also keep allow cluster administration access. In the cluster authentication mode, we need to select EKS API and config map. These will the cluster will source the authenticated IAM principles, both EKS entry and APIs. If you want to access from outside the cluster, we need to enable this one. So select this EKS API and config option in this, and keep the remaining all options as default, and click on next. Here in the networking part, we have to select the VPC what we have created. This one, EKS VPC. So here we have to select the four subnets what we have created, two public subnets and two private subnets. Keep all the four subnets. And in the security group, yeah, you can select this one. You can select both. And in the IP, just keep IPv4. And in the cluster endpoint access also keep the same public and private, and click on next. Remaining here, we don't need to add anything. If you want, you can add APIs or audit all these things. As of now, I'm not enabling anything. Just I'm keeping all these things as default and clicking on next. In the next, we need to select the add-ons for our cluster. What are the services we required? Here we require the networking for the Q proxy. By using Q proxy, it will provide the necessary networking part, code DNS service. All these things we require, right? This is the CNI, content network interface, to create the containers. So we need to select these four are mandatory. After that, you can select whatever the required add-ons for your cluster. So here I am going to select some more add-ons also. Amazon EBS CSI driver for the persistent volumes purpose. And one more thing, yeah, this one also default. If you, I'm keeping the remaining all the same metric server to check. If you want to check the resource consumption across the nodes, we need these metric servers. So select all the necessary add-ons and click on next. If you want NFS kind of service driver, you need to configure this one, EFS CSI driver. Okay, next. Let me, I have documented everything here. What are the add-ons we required? What is the usage with that add-on? We require all these 7 add-ons. So let me recheck once again. VPC, CNI, Score DNS, Q proxy, and node monitoring agent, EBS CSI driver, and EKS pod IT agent along with metric server. Total 7. Okay, right. Everything is perfect. Remaining all these keep as default and click on next. Yeah, these are the here if you want you can change the versions of the add-ons also. EPCC and if you want you can select other versions. What are the versions which are compatible with Kubernetes version? So I'm keeping all as same. Here we can see it is status is ready to install. So then we can move further. Click on next. Here it is everything final check, review and create. You can check what is the configurations we have done up till now. We have configured name, what is the version of the Kubernetes we have selected, and what is the IAM role, and all these things. What is the authentication mode we have selected, what is the networking we have configured, and all these things. What are the add-ons we have selected. Everything we can recheck once again, and then next click on create. So it will take almost 10 to 15 minutes based on things. So meanwhile, I will pause the video once the cluster is ready, and then we will move further to the compute part. Here we have to select these things, compute part. Once it is ready, then only it can able to show the resources. Meanwhile, it can't. So let me pause the video. Once the cluster is ready, then we will move to the compute part. Okay, we'll create the this node group, all these things. I will explain. Yeah, our cluster is ready now. So you can see it is in active state. Now we will configure this compute part. Here you can see there is node group is available because we have selected this custom configuration option, right? So that's why there is no node group added here. Otherwise, if you select auto mode, AWS will going to it will create the necessary things. All but it will create the EC2 type like C2, C2, X large, all of this. But here we don't want to create node group by using this auto configure option. We want to create our own. So let create this node group. But before that, we require this a role for creating an node group. So let me explain that one. Here, as we have created earlier for the EKS cluster role, right? Like this, in the same way, we need to create a role for node groups. So for that purpose, we have to create an IAM role first. Then we are going to use that IAM role to create the node groups. So let me create the node group role. Just go to EKS cluster. This one, select the roles and create a role. Select EKS here. Select the EKS node group. Let me recheck once. Yeah, sorry. For regarding the node group role, we have to select AWS service, and here we have to select EC2 as use case. So next, click on next. Here we have to add necessary permissions. Let me show you those permissions. We have to, mandatory required these four permissions. Like if you want to provision the EBS CSI driver, we have to select this one, and container registration, registry read-only service, and CNI policy, and worker node policy. So add these necessary policies. So let me add CNI policy. and finally this one also will do. Okay, here we will give a name, demo cluster node group, like that. Demo cluster node, so otherwise node group role. Keep it simple. Okay, demo cluster node group. Here we have added all the necessary permissions. These trusted policies enough. Okay, no need to do any changes here. Next, create role. So once this role is created, here you can see this demo cluster node group role. We are going to use this role for our node group creation. Okay, let's go to cluster. Here we have to select this compute part. In this compute part, we have to create node group. In this node group section, we have to add a node group. Here given a name, demo cluster node group. Like this. Anything you can give demo cluster node group. So select the IAM role what we have created, this one, newly created one, demo cluster node group role. And remaining things keep as default. Click on next. And here we have to select the AMI type. So we use this Amazon Linux to this one, first one. Whatever if you want, you can select other. I'm selecting this one. Better use this one. And capacity is on demand. If you want to use the spot EC2 types, if it is any that kind of instances available, it will create with using the spot. So we are going to create on demand, right? Always we want to running. So next, further move further instance types. Here better choose T3, T2 large, like that. T2 large, yeah, with the 2 CPU and 8 GB memory. So, and disk size also better, you can keep 25 GB, like that. 25 or 30 GB space. And further, we have to configure how many instances or nodes we need to provide for our cluster purpose, a minimum desired and minimum and maximum. I'm going to choose 5 nodes maximum, and I will keep remaining 2. Okay, and here maximum, remaining things you can keep as default. In this part, we need to select the AMI type and capacity type and on-demand or spot and instance type. Better you choose T2 large. Once our demo is completed, we can destroy everything. So, and add necessary disk space also, and desired and minimum and maximum nodes. So click on next. Here we need to select the subnets. Here we don't want to expose our nodes outside, right? That's the reason we need to deselect these public subnets. Just keep only private subnets in this part. So then our nodes will be in private mode. Okay. Next, click. Here, just review once again and then click on create. Everything we have checked right. Okay. Next, click on create. So it is also takes some time, 7 to 8 minutes, like that. So meanwhile, we'll explain the next steps we are going to do in the next process. Once this cluster is ready with the node group, then we have to configure Jenkins server. Meanwhile, we'll do that Jenkins server as well. Just go to EC2 instances. In the same region, it's better in the same region. You select this instance. There is no instances, right? Just create an instance Jenkins. You can name it anything. Jenkins server. I'm going to choose Ubuntu, and here I'm going to choose the T2 large because we are going to install so many tools in this server, right? Like Scan, Docker, all these things, and everything will be configured in the same server. So that's why I have chosen T2 large. Here we need to provide a key pair. Let me create new key pair. Demo cluster key. Demo cluster key. Okay. Create that key, and in the network settings, you can keep the default one, not an issue. And here also we need to configure with more memory size. Like the storage we require more, at least 30 or 50 GB. Otherwise, 30 GB is enough. 30 GB. Let me keep 40 GB. Okay, 30 GB. Okay. T2 large. Everything recheck once again. Jenkins server. Okay. Just launch instance. Further, we will configure the security group, all these things. Once it is ready, then we will try to configure the necessary steps. We need to install Java, Jenkins server, Scan, Docker, and kubectl. So we'll do everything using a shell script. So I think our node group is also ready. Let me check. Yeah, node group also ready. And in the cluster, let me show you once again, or let me explain the cluster creation process once again in simple. Yeah, first of all, we need to create the VPC using a CloudFormation stack. Okay. Once it is ready, then create a IAM role for EKS cluster. Okay. Once your IAM role is ready for EKS cluster, then create EKS cluster with all the necessary things like VPC and IAM role, and what are the steps we have followed in the earlier. Use the same steps and create the IAM cluster, EKS cluster. Next, we have to create IAM role for node group. Okay. Once IAM role is ready, then create a node group in the compute part of our EKS cluster. Okay. So in the node group, already know we have to choose right kind of EC2 instances, AMI, and decide the number of nodes and minimum number of nodes and maximum number of nodes, all these things what I have shown in earlier. So follow the same steps and create the node group. So then our cluster is ready. Now our cluster is ready with all the necessary things. So let me show you this one. Here you can see our cluster is ready and in active state. These are the resources we have created. In the compute part, we have created this node group. Networking part, we have created VPC, subnets, security group. All these things are there. In the add-ons part also, you can check what are the things are there. Yeah, Amazon EBS, CSI driver, and EKS, Pod Agent, CodeNS, VPCCNI, proxy, metric server, and node monitoring agent. All these are configured. So like this, our cluster is ready. Here it's showing a new version is 1.32 and is 1.331 is going to uh, end the support up to November only. This version has support from Kubernetes, so no need to worry. You can ignore that message. Here you can see some add-ons compatibility issue is there. Let me check that one. If anything, it's active. If you want, you can update it to the newer version. It will upgrade to the newer version. And let me check another one also. It's showing as 0.72. So let me, this one already is okay. So like this, if you want, you can upgrade for the newer versions. Okay. Meanwhile, we'll configure the Jenkins server. Okay. Our code DNS is ready. Is upgraded to newer version. And yeah, metric server also ready. This one also we'll check if any new version is there. I think it's already up to date only. Okay. You can leave it, no problem. Yeah, it's in already update mode. Okay. Now we'll move to the Jenkins part. Here, yeah, Jenkins server is up and running. Let me open this one. I'm using the VS Code to configure this one. Here, I'm going to use the Jenkins server, right? You can use another way of accessing the EC2 using putty or anything you can. Yes, I'm using this VS Code for easy. Okay, let me access that one. It will take 1 minute. Excuse me. So once it is ready, we will move further for the installation of all the necessary tools. Yeah, for that, let me show you. Is the Jenkins server configuration shell script. Here we are going to create or install all the necessary packages. It requires like wget, unzip, curl, nettools, any another in necessary things also I'm going to install at a time. And after that we'll install Java, latest version Java, and further it will install the Docker, and it will configure all the necessary things as per the official documentation. And once it is ready, it will start the Docker, and after that it will going to create the Jenkins as well as once, and it has all the necessary steps which are required to access Jenkins server, like Jenkins user. We're going to add the Docker in the Jenkins group like this. All the necessary steps are there in the script. And after that we are going to install the Trivy scan where we'll use in our CI/CD pipeline to scan Docker images. So for that purpose, I'm installing the Trivy scan itself. And Helm charts also we are going to install because we are going to deploy this application using Helm charts only. So for that purpose, I'm installing the Helm as well as. And next kubectl part also we need to install to access our cluster, right? We need the kubectl and AWS CLI as well as we required for the configuring the things. So and other directories and permissions and the ownership part, everything will be there in the same script. Once everything is ready, it will display the versions of the tools which are created with the script. So once it is ready, it will show the Jenkins initial administration password, and we can access using our Jenkins server IP. Then we'll do further steps. Okay. So let me check this configured or not. Okay. It's taking so much of time. Let me pause once and check it. Yeah, our server is ready. Jenkins server is ready. Now we have to run the script as root user. So let me shift to root. Here we have to create a file, shell script file, install Jenkins. Got it. Okay. Let me copy the script, save this one, and give the necessary permissions. Now just run the script. It will create all the necessary things what we have required. Okay. Once it is ready, we will access our Jenkins server and we'll configure this 808 port, 8080 port in our Jenkins server security group, and we'll access the server in the browser. So it is creating it is updating the server first, and after that it will create the Java, it will install the Java and other remaining tools. So it takes 2 to 3 minutes of time. So meanwhile, we'll create another server for our SonarQube. Otherwise, check once. Okay. Okay. We are going to create another server for our SonarQube. Uh, Let me configure that one also. Same, I'm taking the Ubuntu as EMI. Uh, Here also we need to select T2 large. Select the same key we have used earlier. And this one also better. Keep 25 GB storage and launch the instance. Okay. Let me check. Yeah, it's still doing installations. Okay, now it's going to download. Here it's downloading the Helm. Once all the necessary tools are installed, we can see the versions, what it has been configured. If this SonarQube server is also ready, we'll use another shell script to do the things. Here there is another script. Is the shell script we are going to use to configure the SonarQube. In this, it will install this uh, PostgreSQL also, and we are providing all the necessary DB user and password. What is the Java version we required, and the Nginx part also we are doing. This thing is quite industry standard setup. So it will install the necessary packages required to installations. So it will create all the necessary permissions for the DB, and here it will download SonarQube with the latest version. Here we are going to use the stable version, 9.9 version. So once it is downloaded, and it will create all the necessary permissions as well as like Sonar user permissions, and it will configure the DB for the Sonar server, and it will create a system service for SonarQube to run it automatically when the server starts without doing it manually, and it will do the configuration, Nginx configuration also. Here we have to update our SonarQube server IP. Let me do that one first. Yeah, it is ready. Use this IP and update it here. Save this one. So like this, here we are setting the max limits also for the better performance purpose for the systemctl configuration file. Okay. Once everything is done, it will reload the daemon, and it will enable the SonarQube server, and it start the service as well as. Okay. After that, we can able to access the SonarQube server in the browser. Once it is configured, we will do the necessary steps what they required for our project purpose. Meanwhile, let me check. Yeah, it is ready. You can see all the necessary installations are done, and it is providing the versions also. Here Java version is 17, and Docker version is 2.27.5.1 with the build also. This is the Jenkins version. This is the kubectl version, and AWS EKS also is configured, and Helm also is installed with this version, and Trevi scan. and Python as well. Here it is the initial password for our Jenkins server, and we can access this server at this IP. Okay, so this is very simple, and you can use it any for the Ubuntu. It will works. So without doing everything manually, you can do it in a single click. So for that purpose, I have created this shell script. So let me first of all, we'll do one thing. We'll start the SonarQube server and we'll do the installation part. And I mean, then we'll go to the Jenkins server accessing all these things. It will save time for us. Okay. Let me configure this SonarQube as well as the Sonar server. We need to provide the key file what we have used in the instance creation time. The same key I have used for Jenkins and SonarQube as well as. So let's save this one and start the SonarQube server. Yeah, it won't take much time. Earlier Jenkins server took some time because it has 50 GB of almost 40 GB of storage, right? That's the reason it took so much of time. I think it won't take that much of time. Let's see. Which take time means we'll go. Meanwhile, we'll go and configure the security group in the Jenkins server. Here we need to configure 80 port 8080, right? We need to access our Jenkins server. Just go to the security group, edit the inbound rule, and add custom TCP 8080 and select the CADR block. That means we can access from anywhere. Save the rules. Okay. So now we can able to access our Jenkins server. Let me check. Still downloading. So we'll go with the Jenkins server first. So let me click this one. Yeah. Here we need to provide the initial password, admin password. Let me copy this and paste it here and continue. Yeah, you select this one, install suggested plugins. Uh, it will suggest or it will install all the necessary plugins. So if you want to do it manually, you can select plugins to install. I'm going to the same. It will install all the necessary plugins, so no need to worry. After that, we'll install required plugins for our project purpose. We'll do it later. We'll do it in the console itself. Okay, it takes some time and it will install and configure all the necessary plugins. Meanwhile, we'll check. Yeah, it still is downloading. Okay. Each and every step I have mentioned in the documentation part, so there is no confusion. If you have any confusion in between, you can check this video and you can do it your own without any issues. Once this Jenkins server is ready, we'll move to the next part. Like we'll update the kube config file to our Jenkins server to access the EKS cluster. Yeah, this one we have to configure our EKS cluster, right? For that purpose, before that, we need to configure our AWS credentials in the Jenkins server. So let me do that one. Yeah, I will use my this one temporary user. I will remove later. Once that this demo is completed, I will remove everything. Oh God. Yeah, sorry. I have removed previous access key and secret key. That's why I have created a new one. I think already you guys all know how to create security credentials for an user. So here nothing. Here in the security credentials, we have to create this access key and secret key. Already you can create maximum two. Already I have created two earlier one. That's why now I have created new one. This one 15 hours ago. Now it is created now. So I'm going to use this one because somewhere I missed this the secret key for this access key. So let me use the new one. Anyway, I will remove these both once demo is completed. Yeah, by using these credentials, we will configure it. This is the secret access key we are going to use, and we need to give the secret key as well as. And the region, what is the region we have created? We have used it for our EKS cluster and Jenkins, all these servers. In the same region, you can better use AP South 1. AP South 1. Yeah, this one default, you can keep default one. Now you are able to do the things which you are configured AWS. Let me check. Yeah. Now, if you are going to you try to get the nodes, you can't because you didn't configure the kube config file right with Jenkins server. So for that purpose, we have to configure or we need to update this kube config file. Meanwhile, you can check what is the clusters we have created, all these things. Just now we have configured our AWS CLI credentials, right? So this is the user details, DevOps admin, and this is the user ID and account ID, all these things you can check. You can check the clusters we have created. Yeah, demo cluster we have created, right? So you need to configure this by using this command kubeconfig file. So we have to provide the region AP South 1 and the cluster is demo cluster. Cluster name is demo cluster. This is the exact thing what you have mentioned your in cluster creation time. That's the thing you have to use the same thing. Okay, and the region also same. You need to provide the same region where you have configured your cluster. Okay, use this one. See, kube config file is updated to this user. So now you can check. See, now we are accessing our Kubernetes cluster nodes. We have configured two nodes, right? So these are the two nodes we are accessing. You can check what are the kubectl get all resources in our cluster. See, these are the all the resources we have in our cluster. Is the kube system parts are there like node parts and code DNS parts, EBS ESI parts, or EKS node monitoring agent parts. All the parts are metric server parts, kube proxy, and these are the default. These are namespaces. One is default kube system, and these are the namespace. These are the services. These are the demo sets, and these are the deployments, and these are the replica sets. If you want to get namespaces, we can check by using namespace command. These four are by default and kube node release, kube public, and kube system. These are the four default namespaces. Okay. Whenever we configure a cluster, we will see all these four. If you want to create new, we can create using kubectl create namespace. We'll do it further for our application deployment purpose. So we are successfully created EKS cluster and we are configured our Jenkins servers authentication to access that EKS cluster successfully. Okay. So let me check it is ready. Yeah. It has in the Jenkins server. It has installed all the necessary plugins in the initial setup. Here you can give your name. I'm giving my name Subbu. Password. This is a new password you are going to create use further. These are not mandatory things. Save and continue. Yeah, email address. Yeah, you can use. Save and continue. Yeah. So further you can access with this user and see username. Now we are in the Jenkins console. We can do remaining part later after configuring this SonarQube as well. Let's go and check. It is this one is ready. Yeah. So first of all, just open the default user folder. Yes. Just we have to use this shell script to install and configure the SonarQube as well as here also use root user first. Let me create a shell script install sonar.sh. Let me copy the code. I have provided everything in the documentation. You can find this Jenkins installation script and SonarQube installation script as well, and the necessary steps also I have provided here. So let me do this one. We have updated. You need to update this one IP of your SonarQube server, and as well as here you have to update your password as well as if you want to change the DB password, you can change it here. Otherwise, you can keep the same if you are going to just do the demo purpose. These the remaining things you don't need to change anything. Yeah, just keep default what is there in the script. Just change these two. This is the mandatory thing. You have to change your IP address. Otherwise, it won't able to access. Okay. Just copy this one. and paste it here, save the file and give the necessary, change the permissions to run the shell script. Just run the script. It will install the necessary things like Java and it will install the SonarQube's installation and Nginx, all the things what we have provided in the script. You can check here. These are the things it going to install like will install the JDK Java latest version 17 version and PostgreSQL DB and, and Nginx as well as. So once these are installed, it will start the PostgreSQL DB and it will provide the necessary permissions to access this DB by the Sonar user. And once it is ready and everything is configured perfectly, and then it will move further to the installation of SonarQube server. It will download the SonarQube server with the latest version what we have what is the version we have provided, and it will download that one and it will unzip the zip file and it will move that folder to the slash opt directory with the name what we have suggested here. And once it is ready, then it will create the Sonar user. Here we are going to configure system home user as well as system user to provide the necessary permissions to run the SonarQube server. Once it is ready, here it is going to configure the SonarQube, the database user URL, username, password, host, and port. Default port is 9000, and it will create the system D service to run the SonarQube service automatically when the server is started. So all necessary steps it will configure here. This is the default directory. We need to uh, go and run the service, right? If you do manually, we have to shift this server in this folder. Then we have to run the sonar.sh start command to start the service. To stop the service, we have to use this command. You have to do it manually. But if you configure in the systemd file, uh, that means we are creating a service to start the service automatically in the system daemon. When the server starts, then it will start the SonarQube server as well as as a service, and it will configure next. It will configure Nginx as a reverse proxy with the necessary IP. It will listen the port at 80, and this is the localhost port with the localhost with the port 9000, and it will add all the necessary steps. Once it is ready, it will restart the Nginx and it's creating the link. Okay, once everything is ready, then it will reload the system daemon and it will enable the SonarQube server and it will start the SonarQube server as well as. Let's see. Yeah, our SonarQube server is installed and ready. You can access it using our server IP. It is created as a symbolic link as well as. So to start the service after adding those systemd service, so it has added the maximum count to have the better performance with SonarQube server when we are going to use in the pipelines or these things. Okay, let me open this one. First of all, we need to configure security group with the port 9000, right? We need to open that port, otherwise we can't able to access it. Let me do that one. Go to the security group and add a rule custom TCP port number 9000 and select the CADR block and save the role. Now we can able to access this SonarQube server. Let me access here itself. See, it is starting. Yeah, we have to provide the default username is admin and the password is also admin. You can create new password. So our SonarQube server is also ready now. Let me explain. Let me close all these things once. Yeah. First, our cluster is ready. After that, we have created a Jenkins server. Yeah, we have installed all necessary tools like Jenkins, Docker, Trivy, kubectl, Helm, and we have configured kubeconfig to get access it cluster. Okay, and in between you have configure AWS CLI configure. You need to configure AWS credentials. Okay, then only you can able to configure this kube config, right? You need to get the class or all these things permissions. So after once a Jenkins server is next, security group, all these things I'm not updating here. So your Jenkins server is ready now. I'm not mentioning the security group, inbound rules, all these things. Those are not necessary. We have to create, but I'm not mentioning here. Next, you have to create. We have created SonarQube server, and we have configured the server using the shell script with all the necessary things what we have I have explained in the script. Okay. Now our EKS cluster is ready, Jenkins server is ready, and SonarQube server is ready. Okay, for our deployment or project deployment purpose, this is the project we are going to deploy. This Spring Boot application, this Petclinic application. So I have configured all the necessary things here. You can find the documentation as well. These are the help charts I have created for the application and the DB and the PVC and service for application and service for database. Before that, we have to do some more things before going to create this deployment. We need to do some more things before that. Up to now, we have configured all these things. Yeah, SonarQube also completed. In the SonarQube server, we need to create the project. Next, we need to create a project for our project, Petclinic. So once project is created, we need to provide the necessary permissions to get access to the static analysis of that project. So I will show how to do that, and we have to create a token for SonarQube server to use that token in the CI/CD pipeline. So let me show that one. Yeah, in this server we have to create this project. This is the project Petclinic I have named, or the same name what you have used in the of the pipeline. Use the same name here. I'm showing here. Yeah, this is the pipeline script. Is the This is the project key we are going to use in the pipeline. So the same name we have to use our Petclinic. The project key also same. This is the project display name. This is the project key name. Are you able to see? I hope you are able to see the screen. This one, let me display this one also. Yeah, just set up the project. Now you have created a project in the SonarQube, and we have to give the necessary permissions to get access of this. Like execute analysis permissions we required to run the static analysis in CI/CD. So select this one also. Execute analysis part. Okay, we have provided the necessary permissions. In the project settings, permissions tab is there. In that permissions tab, you have to select these two checkboxes. That is Sonar administrator as well as Sonar users. They are going to have the execute analysis permissions. So once permissions are updated, then we have to create a Sonar token. Here in the administrator settings, my account settings are there. My accounts in the my account settings, you can see the security tab. Here we are going to create the token. We are going to generate the token here. Just you can name it any thing here, Sona token or anything. Just name it and type the select the type. You can select the project analysis or global analysis token. If you want to create a token for a particular project, you have to select this project analysis token. If you want to generate a token for all projects, you can select this global analysis token. That means you are going to have the access on all projects. So let me do this global analysis token because we are doing the demo purpose, right? So generate token. You copy this one because it won't show further. Sonar token. Steps. Okay. So save this token in a notepad because we have to use this one in the Jenkins credentials to get access of SonarQube server in the CI/CD pipeline. So this is the name. This is the name we have to save along with the token what we have generated. Once you go going back to the another screen, it won't appear. So you have to copy at the time of creation itself. Okay. So in the SonarQube server part, we have completed everything. We have created a project and we have updated the permissions to execute analysis, and as well as we have generated a token to get access of SonarQube project. Okay. Next, what we have to do in the Jenkins, we need to configure some this. Uh, we need to configure some this. Oh, sorry. Let me check. Plugins. Sorry, excuse me. We need to configure some plugins as well as for our project purpose. Let me show you those plugins. What are the plugins we required? Let me show you that one. Yeah, tools and plugins configuration. In this part, we required all these tools, the pipeline and SCM tool. Some of them they will configured by default. Here it is already configured, so there is no need of doing anything. Once again, let me check with the build tool as well as build tools. Yeah, that one is also come as default, so no need. Some GitHub next, Docker and Kubernetes now required. SonarQube server. This pipeline. Yeah, next Git is mandatory. GitHub. Think this one we need to. Sorry, we need to check it in the available plugins. GitHub integration. Yeah, this one. Git, I think it will come as default one. Let me install this GitHub integration plugin because we need to integrate this our GitHub repo to Jenkins. That's the reason we need to install these plugins. These are the plugins already installed during the initial setup process. It has installed all the build timeout, all the necessary plugins such as credentials. All these plugins are already installed. Unit pipeline, CM step, yeah, all. So remaining things we need to do manually. So GitHub is ready, and let me check the Git also once again. Git. If you are using the GitLab, you can check that one also. Git, I think it is installed. Okay. Next, have to have an integration. Okay. That JDK tool also required because we need to specify the proper JDK path. Otherwise, we are not able to do the things in a proper way. So I think JDK. I think already it is ready. Let me check in the. Okay, we'll open JDK native plugin. Mm, Open JDK. Let me install this too. We'll see. Think it is also there in the list. Okay. Okay. We required to install other required Sonar server. Think Docker and Kubernetes not required. I think yeah. SonarQube server we need to install quality gates if you want to use the quality gates as well as Sonar gates or quality gates. We'll see in the pipeline execution time. We'll see if any plugin is not installed, we'll do at that time. Okay, these are the plugins we need to configure, and next we need to install do the credentials. We need to create the credentials for all tools we are going to use. For GitHub, we need to configure the GitHub token, a pet, and for the Sonar token, we have to create the Sonar user and token as well as, and for the AWS, we need to create the access key as well as secret key to get access the AWS in the pipeline. And some more credentials we need to configure. Let me show you. Yeah, here we need to configure this GitHub credentials, Docker Hub. Here we are going to use the AWS ECR repo, so there is no need to create Docker Hub credentials. If you are using a Docker Hub repo, then you need to configure the Docker Hub credential as well as, and the AWS credentials. We need to configure the SonarQube token. Kubernetes, I think we are already configured in the Jenkins, so there is no need to configure this separately. So we need to create these credentials first of all. So for that purpose, let me configure this GitHub and all these things. I will pause the video and I will do the things. I hope you all know how to configure these credentials in the Jenkins server. Let me show you in the manage Jenkins section. You have this credentials tab. Here, select the global, this system part, and these global credentials, add credentials. Here we need to select one by one, like if you are creating a credential with username and password, you have to choose the username and password option. Otherwise, if you are going to use a secret text, you have to use the secret text. First of all, I will configure GitHub credentials and I will show you remaining one. For SonarQube service, SonarQube token and Gitpat, we have to use the secret text as the credential type. And once it is, suppose, simply you have to provide the secret here, like let me copy this one. Sonar is the secret we are going to provide. And the ID what we have mentioned in the pipelines, use the same. Otherwise, what you are storing in the credentials, use the same in the pipeline. Vice versa, you can do anything. Here, for the SonarQube, let me, yeah, I have given this Sonar credentials ID. So if you want to, you can change it. If you are giving anything else, mention the same thing in the pipeline itself. Otherwise, you won't be able to do the things. So these are Sonar credentials I'm creating. In the same way, we have to set up all the remaining AWS. This AWS, you have to provide the things. For AWS also, with the same name, I have provided the AWS access. So you can use the same thing here. Let me pause the video and do the thing. Yeah, hi. I have configured these three credentials, SonarQube token as well as AWS access key and secret key and GitHub token. GitHub token already you know how to generate in your GitHub profile developer settings. Personal access tokens are there. In this section, you can select the token tokens classic, and you can generate new token, and you can use that token in Jenkins credentials for GitHub access purpose. So let me show you once again. Yeah, all these three credentials we required in our pipeline. So once it is ready, then we have to configure system settings. So here we have to store the URLs of Jenkins server. Yeah, the Jenkins server URL is already there, and we have to configure these SonarQube servers. We have to add a SonarQube. Here we have to give a name, any name Sonar server. Here we have to provide the URL of our SonarQube server. So this one I have created. Use the same, and you have to select the credentials of SonarQube server here. Sonar credentials. So in the SonarQube server section, you have to add a SonarQube server, and you have to provide the name and URL of your SonarQube server and SonarQube credentials what you have stored in the Jenkins credentials. So SonarQube part is ready. Then we have to store our GitHub. Here, add a GitHub server. Just name anything GitHub. Here, this is the default. Leave it default. This one GitHub API github.com. Here you have to select the GitHub credentials. GitHub pad, that is the token we have stored in our Jenkins credentials to get access of our GitHub repo. So these two things we need to configure in the systems section. So once it is ready, you can save. Yeah, everything is ready, right? If you are sending notifications using Slack or email or these things, you have to configure. For this purpose, for this demo purpose, I'm not configuring all these things. In the next projects, we'll do that. So save these configurations. So our entire thing is ready. So we have configured necessary credentials, and we have configured the URLs what they are required for our project purpose. So next we need to create some secrets and config maps for our project. Let me do that one. Yeah, up to here we have completed. Up to step 6 we have completed everything. So now we will create the config map and the secrets and persistent volume for our database part purpose. So let me do that. Let me create a ML in our Jenkins. You can close this SonarQube server, otherwise, okay, I can keep it. In this Jenkins server, create a ML and copy this one. This is the config map we required our project. This we are creating a Petclinic database, and we are providing the MySQL JDBC URL, MySQL service colon this port number and the database name. So we need to create this config map. Let me copy this code. Before that, you can check kubectl get cm. Only root config map is there. And one more thing, we need to create the namespace, right, for our project purpose. Let me do that one. is the name. Yeah, Petclinic Dev. Yeah, this one is the namespace for I'm using the entire project also. So let me create that one. Okay, kubectl create namespace Petclinic Dev. Just I'm creating this namespace. You can check kubectl get ns. Yeah, our Petclinic database or Petclinic Dev namespace is created. Now create that app config in this namespace kubectl apply hyphen f app config hyphen n Petclinic hyphen dev. So we are going to create this config map in our namespace. So config map is created. You can check it. Okay, Petclinic dev. So you can see it is created with two variables. Already I have shown right here. This one is the database and one is the URL. Okay, and we have to create this DB secrets also. We'll create this one also. Let me clear this. DB secrets. Let me copy this same code. Here nothing is there. We are creating the MySQL user and password and root password. These are the things we are going to in hash encoded format. Just I'm providing here for your understanding purpose. So in the our project username is the Petclinic and password is Petclinic and root password is also is the same root. So let me copy the code and create the file. Let me save this and create kubectl apply hyphen f db secrets the namespace of Petclinic dev. So you can check kubectl get secret hyphen Petclinic hyphen dev. Okay, yeah, you can see it is also created. Next, we are going to create the persistent value manually. Actually, you can use the dynamic storage also, or then with using the storage class. We'll do that later. In this demo part, I'm just creating it manually. So for that purpose, we have to create a EBS volume. EBS volume in our any AG in this like this. Okay, let me create an EBS volume here in the elastic block storage section. Volumes section is there. You have to create a new volume. This one, you can select any availability zone, or we can make use the same zone EBS volume in our Kubernetes config manifest file. So we'll do later. So generate just 10 GB. I require 10 GB. Now you can add anything name MySQL PV. So just I'm creating the EBS volume or create volume. Yeah, this one we required. This one is now available, not in use. You can name it as MySQL PV. This is the ID we required. First of all, let me copy the code, persistent volume code. Yeah, need to create this one. The name MySQL PV. Okay. Let me create the MySQL PV volume file first. Copy the code. In this, we need to change the volume ID, what we have created now. Let me copy that one. This one. This is the volume we have created now. Do the same here. And here we are going to use this volume for our database, right? That's the reason we are going to select this retain. If you want persistent volume reclaim policies, I'm keeping retain. If you don't want to keep this PV whenever your PVC gets deleted, you can select it. You can change it to delete, and it should be read write once only. If you are creating this volume for a database, otherwise it will get some errors because if you are using to multi write many read write many, it is not supported. So let me save and create kubectl apply -f MySQL PV, the namespace of Petclinic. Yeah. Okay. You can check whether it is created or not. PV. See, you can see MySQL PV is available. It's created and it's available. So everything is ready. We have created config map, DB secrets, and MySQL PV. Okay. These three we have to create it. Remaining every manifest file is provided in the Helm charts part itself. There is no need to create other things. Yeah, everything I have provided in the Petclinic chart itself. All the templates are there. Deployment of application. I have created this application deployment Helm chart here. Yeah, with these startup ropes, readiness ropes, liveness ropes, everything is ready. For the DB also I have created with the volumes, everything is there. Here also I have configured liveness probes and readiness probes to check whether the database pod is ready before it is going to create the application pod. So you can check the configuration there. This is the service path application. We are going to use the load balancer type, the service of application. For the database application, we are going to use the cluster IP as the service type. This is the values file. We have to provide the values for these configurations. The default MySQL image, and here you can see username, password, root setting. If you don't want to do the hard-coded ones, you can use the ABC or these AWS secrets or HashiCorp Vault, all these things. You can provide them dynamically in the CI/CD pipeline. So here just this is the basic deployment demo. So that's why I'm providing the hard-coded values in the values.ml. If you want, you can create environment-wise values.ml, and you can provide the values differently for the different environments, and you can do the deployments uh, accordingly. So here we are going to provide this PVC details and this repository details. Yeah, one more thing we have to create this AWS repo for our application purpose. Yeah, we'll do that one. Otherwise, already I have configured this ECR repo. I will show that one because don't want to waste much time. Sorry. Yeah, this is the ECR repo I'm using. You can create easily by using create a repo. You can give the name, whatever the name you require, and you provide the same name in the values.ml. This is the up to here it is same, and you can provide the uh, repo name and you can change it here. I have created Petclinic dev repo. This is the tagging everything we will do in the dynamically in the pipeline itself when we are building an image, and we will use the same tag and we will use the same image for our application deployment. So nothing to worry about that. So I'm using the same repo for concerning of time. So you can create a repo easily, not an issue. So, so we'll copy this pipeline code and we'll do the uh, CI/CD now. Okay, just add a pipeline pet clinic type. So select the pipeline type, create. Yeah, I'm directly copying the code here. If you want do it by using a webhook. You can enable GitHub webhook trigger for Git SCM polling. You can use this one. You can otherwise you can do other options also. Just I am doing the manually. Just copy the code, enter the code, paste it here. In the pipeline, let me explain the pipeline once. In this pipeline, we have tools section is there. We are providing the JDK 17 and Maven 3.9.8. And here in the environment variables, we are using a GitHub repo. This is the repo, and this is the branch name develop and credentials GitHub repo credentials. Here we need to change this SonarQube URL. Let me do that one. We need to change with our new URL. That is the okay. You have to change with your SonarQube URL and remaining everything is same. We have created project key with the Petclinic Sonar credentials the same and same ECR repo we are using, and the remaining everything is same cluster demo. Oh, it's the demo cluster. Okay, Helm, Petclinic, MySQL, Petclinic Dev, everything is same. So this is the tree scan purpose. We are using a temporary variable, temporary directory. for caching purpose. Uh, when we are coming to the stages part, in the first stage, we are going to check out the code. Let me show you here, then you can see it better. Yeah, in the checkout part, just we are providing the branch and the URL and the GitHub credentials. It will fetch the code from the GitHub repo. Once it is fetched, and we are going to scan that source code using Trivi. Trivi file scan, yeah, by using FS, we can scan the source code for vulnerabilities or any issues are there with the code. And after that, just we are running the basic unit tests by using Maven test. And here we are doing the basic unit testing and Java code coverage also we are doing. And coming to the SonarQube analysis stage, here we are going to pass the required variables like a project key and host URL and the credentials. By using Maven Sonar, we are going to do the static analysis to check any vulnerabilities are there in our project. If you want to do more advanced way, you can create the quality profiles, quality gates to do the more checks in the static analysis part. Here I'm doing the basic static analysis. Okay. For that purpose, we have to provide all these necessary variables. Once our static analysis part is completed, I'm going to build the image and push it to the ECR repo. Here we are tagging our image with latest commit hash of that repo and the build number. What is the build number? Suppose we are doing the first time, it will add the one. Like this, it will create the image tag, and this is the Docker image, that is ECR repo URL along with the image tag. So it will create like this, and after that we'll build the image and by using the source code. Docker file is already there in the source code, right? It will create the Docker image for our application. So once it is ready, it will get the credentials by using the AWS credentials. It will push the Docker image into the ECR repo. Once it is done, it will move further stage 3 scan of Docker image. We are going to scan the Docker image to check any vulnerabilities are there in the image. Once it is done, we are going to install the MySQL DB. For this project, we are going to use the MySQL DB as the database. So for that purpose, it is first of all, it is going to update the kubeconfig file to get the authentication with the cluster. It will going to update this kubeconfig file with the region and EKS cluster name. Once it is done, it will check whether the application database is already running. It won't do the further installation. Otherwise, it will going to install the MySQL deployment using the Helm charts. Helm upgrade, install, and MySQL release is the release already we are going to create in the pipeline, and it will use the same. From the Petclinic chart, it will get the necessary templates, and we are providing the necessary URLs, necessary environment variables like namespace. And if you don't have the namespace, it will create, and it will use the chart, right chart here, and you get the values from the chart. And here I'm going to disable the application deployment. Otherwise, because both the application and DB charts are in the same folder, right? So that's why I make sure of enabling it's false of enabling this application deployment, and by the enabling only DB deployment, it will make sure only database is going to deploy. Once MySQL DB is installed, pod is deployed, pod or deployment, everything is done. It will going to check the MySQL health, deployment health. It will wait for a certain period of time because we have configured all the liveness probes, readiness probes in our database templates, right? It will check once it is ready, then it will move further to the deployment of Petclinic application. If our MySQL DB is not ready, then it is going to deploy Petclinic. It will go into the crash loop back of error. So that's the reason. First of all, we need to create the MySQL deployment, and we need to check the MySQL health. It is ready, then it is ready. We can move further. Here it is going to do the same as I said earlier. It will get the kube config authentication for the cluster deployments, and we are going to use the latest image what we have built in this pipeline for this application deployment, not what we have provided with the values.ml. So here we are going to use the necessary things, namespace and the chart value.ml, and here we are setting the new image here, and we are disabling the MySQL deployment as well. Once it is deployed successfully, it is going to check the Petclinic health, what we have configured with the in the templates like readiness probe, startup probe, readiness probe, and the liveness probe, all these things. Once application is ready, yeah, it will check, and once it is ready, it will port go to the post cleanup process. Any unused images, any unnecessary containers are there, it will going to clean up those things. This is the CI/CD pipeline part. Let me run the pipeline once. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll run our first job. I'm building. I think some issue is there. Let me check. We need to configure JDK does not have installation of JDK configure. Okay, we forgot to configure the tools, right? Let me do that one. Uh, Now I have configured these tools also. In the tools section, we need to configure these things. Just go to manage Jenkins, and in the tools section, you have add JDK installations as well as Maven installations. You can do it easily. In the JDK installation, you just select add JDK and name it as JDK 17, how we have named in the tools section, and give the Java path, Java home path. You can get it from your Jenkins server, and you have to remember you have to uncheck the install automatically part, otherwise will install automatically. Let me show you. I have run the pipeline already to save the time. So here in the tools section, you can see, yeah, I've configured this. So automatically these are saved. They are not visible. So in the tool section, you need to do these things. Maven installations also, you have to add Maven. Name it as Maven 3.98, and you can select here instant automatically. In the versions part also, you have to select this 3.9.8. There are list of versions. You can select 3.9.8 in this and save the configuration, and now we can able to run the pipeline. Just already have run the pipeline, so it is the first time. That's why it is downloading all the dependencies for the project. Somewhere we got the issue. Let me check it. In the SonarQube part, we got some issue. Let me check this one. We need to already you have configured the SonarQube URL, right? Okay, let me debug and I will update the issue and solution as well. Yeah, here I have observed two issues. One is Docker permission denied issue. For this, we need to do all these steps. And second one, this one, in the SonarQube stage, here we have configured the SonarQube, right? But in our SonarQube server configurations, we have mentioned Sonar server. So we need to replace with this one, SonarQube. You also will get some issues, so just don't panic. Just debug the issues, and we can easily sort out it. You can use the ChatGPT also, or you can recheck the these console log errors for the better understanding to take necessary steps. Here we have to replace it Sonar server and save it first. And for regarding this Docker permission denied issue, we have to give the permissions necessary and restart the Jenkins first. Once it is restarted, then restart the Docker as well. So then you can check it whether able to check the Docker or not. So now Jenkins user is able to access the Docker, right? So we'll try once again. Okay. I have noted down all the issues and the solutions as well as here for our understanding purpose. So we have to we'll run it once again and we'll see if any issues are there. We'll sort it out. First time it takes time. Here you can check kubectl get all -n Petclinic dev. So for this user, we don't have authentication, right? But we have provided in the pipeline. Here we are providing the authentication to run the to get the authentication for the cluster. So there is no issue. It will get. You can check it here as a root user. You can check it. kubectl get. If you want to, if you want that authentication permanently, you can set it in the Jenkins user itself. Then there is no need to provide in the pipeline. Yes, I have provided as a root user, right? So you can see there is no resources. No resources are found in the Petclinic dev namespace until now. We'll see once it is completed, then we'll check it. It is downloading all the necessary dependencies for the first time. So it will take some time. I will pause the video because it is already almost more than 2 hours. Yeah, some errors I have rectified. We have to check the regions properly because previously I have created my cluster and AWS ECR repo in the same region. Now I changed it to the some other region. That's the issue. And now I have corrected and done the job. Let's see what happened. Here we can see MySQL DB is deployed. Let me check. So MySQL DB is in pending state. So kubectl. I think issue with the PV. We'll check it. We have to do changes in the PV. Let me check this one because we have created this EBS volume in AP South 1 region, right? We need to specify the correct region, otherwise it will become a problem. Uh, Let me check once again. Yeah, it is AP South 1A. It is available zone AP South 1A. We'll see the deployment happens in which region. Oh, sorry. kubectl get all FNM Petclinic. Then we can use wide option. kubectl get nodes and go wide. We have to check whether this node is in the same region or not. Otherwise, we have to change the configuration accordingly. So I think PV is the issue. Yeah, it will fail for sure. Let me check the template or this charts first. I need to give the proper AG in this chart. Yeah, here I have configured US East 1B. We have to specify as AP South 1A. So let me do that. Yeah, once it is failed, we'll do that. Uh, I will update this check checklist. Okay. We have to set the proper AG of the EBS volume in the DB chart, deployment db.yaml. Suppose if you are using this dynamic volumes provisioning, there is no need of doing all these things. We don't create any manual PV, right? Automatically, whenever there is a PVC requirement, by using storage class, it will create the volume which is required for the deployments. So here we are dealing it in a manual way. So that's the reason we need to create EBS volume and need to set the EBS volume region properly to a particular node where it is located in that region. So here we need to change this region as EBS volume is configured in the AP South 1 year AG. So let me do that one. Yeah, it is failed due to volume is not properly configured. We'll change the pipeline. Sorry. Let me edit this. Here, what are the AG? What is the EBS volume AG? We have to update here. AP South 1A. Same thing you need to update here and save this one. Now you can run the pipeline once again. You can see it will get succeeded. Let's see what happens. I think there is no change is required here. We'll see what happens. If any other issues came, we'll sort it out. Meanwhile, you can check the logs also, CTM, or you can get the events. So MySQL PV is there, right? kubectl get events. Think in the backend already it is deploying. That's the reason. Yeah, here you see zero nodes are available. I didn't match the pod affinity selector because we have given the affinity this one, right? So already exists and running. Now we see still in pending state. Let me check once again. Yeah, hi. I have identified the issue. Issue is with the main affinity rules I have set earlier. So I have removed the affinity rules in the deployment of MySQL DB. Earlier, I have decided to set a affinity rule to deploy MySQL DB in a particular node. That's why I have configured like that. Now I have removed that node affinity rule in the this MySQL deployment of DB. So now it is successfully deployed our application along with the MySQL DB. You can see here is the status. So it is completely successfully completed all the stages like SonarQube static analysis and building and Docker image. Here you can see it has built the Docker image. Is the Docker image tag and is the digest. And after that, it is successfully uploaded to the our AWS ECR repo, and it has successfully scanned the Docker image, and finally it has been deployed into the cluster. Initially, it has been deployed the MySQL DB, and further it is deployed the application as well. So in this way, we can do application deployment using CI/CD pipeline in the AWS EKS cluster. The major issues we have faced during this deployment is Docker permission denying issue and SonarQube configuration error. We have wrongly configured the name of the SonarQube server in the pipeline. Sorry, not in the pipeline, in the configuration settings. So, and I have missed this AWS steps plugin installation part as well as, and finally, this is the node affinity rules. This is not necessary. I have earlier I have configured, so I have removed it. So these are the four issues we have faced during this deployment. So we have to follow all these steps. Now we'll check we'll access this application as well as first of all we need to configure 8081 port in our Jenkins server. Then only we can able to access our application. Go to Jenkins server security tab, open the sec security groups and edit the inbound role, add the 8081 port and save it. Now we can access the application using the load balancer URL. Here we have used the service type as load balancer URL for our application, and for our MySQL DB we have used it as a cluster IP because we don't want to expose it outside. So let's access the application. See, we are successfully accessing our application. Yeah, these are the owner's details. Yeah, if you want, you can edit new like this. Yeah, the owner value is updated. Suppose you can check this one. Just now we have updated, right? And like this, you can access the application. So you can add, if you want, you can add the new user also, new owner also. Subu and address, anything you can give like this. Okay. And you can add the pet name also. So any dog or anything. Okay. Now you can find that newly added owner details also here. So in this way, you can able to can easily access our application by deploying it in AWS EKS cluster or using CI/CD pipeline with the help of Helm charts. To handle it in an easy way, we can use the Helm charts. Otherwise, we can use the normal manifest files also. We can deploy the application using manual uh, manifest files also. So this is the video. I will upload this documentation, this document as well as in the repo. Already I have updated all the required documentation part in this repository. You can find in the README section. Yeah, here everything is there. How to set up the EKS cluster and all these things. So I will update these steps also in this block, and you can do some checks whatever you want. Like you can log into the MySQL pod, all these things. You can check the environment variables are properly configured or not, like this. Suppose x3c-it. If you want to check any application pod. See here, you can see our application is there in Petclinic application container app.jar. So like this, you can check the what are the setting or tests you want to do, and you can check the logs as well as kubectl logs, application log as well as MySQL DB log. See here, logs are initialized, MySQLDB is initialized and it is successfully running. So in the same manner, you can check the application logs as well. I have provided the post check. What are the post checks we have to do after the deployment of the application? Also in the documentation part, you can check those uh, steps, how to check what are the steps we have to verify after deployment. Like this, here you can check. These are the things you need to check. You have to verify MySQL pod status is running, application pod status is running or not. All services has valid IP addresses. Load balancer has external IP assigned or not. All these things you have to check. Here you can see this is the cluster IP for MySQL DB and this is the cluster IP for application, and this is the external IP load balancer IP for our application. So it is properly configured. All are running state. So everything is looks fine. And if you want, you can check the this MySQL also. Logs already we have tested it, right? So you, if you want, you can test the MySQL DB or container also. Let's get into the pod. Yeah, here you can use MySQL -u root or Petclinic -p Petclinic. See, you are able to log into the MySQL shell. Here you can check what are the databases are available. So just use the Petclinic database to check the data in that database. Database has been changed. Now you can check what are the tables are there in that database. So in the same manner you can check, you can query the tables. We'll check owners. We have newly added one user owner, right? We will check whether it is added or not. Yeah, you can see Subbu Sangam 123 Hyderabad Tingi. It is newly added one. Like this, you can check what are the information you required. You can check the pets information as well as this one we have added earlier. Okay, so everything is working properly. So like this, you need to check all the post deployment checks to verify whether everything is working correctly or not. Like this, application database connectivity also you can check like this. Get into the application first, and you can do it. Otherwise, you can test it the connectivity directly. Let me log out from shell first. Here, just replace the application pod. kubectl exec-it application pod name and namespace name and hyphen nc hyphen zb mysql service. This is the mysql service and the port of mysql db port here 3306. You can check the connectivity. See, the default container Petclinic out of Petclinic and check DB ready. It is the init connector in the MySQL DB. MySQL service is opened. You can see it here. This is the IP address along with the port number. Like this, you can check all the post deployment checks. Otherwise, you can use this command also to check the environment variables. So you can do all the necessary checks, whatever you required. If you want to do the call, you can do it in by using these commands. Here is application port, right? Yes. Okay, now we'll test it. We'll install the cache as well as uh, call command. Sorry. Apk add now cache call. Otherwise, you will use the apt. Oh, sorry. Oh, we came out of the this one, right? We're not in the shell of the application. So in slash. Now we have installed the curl command here, and you can test it locally also. Whether application is accessible or not. See, we are getting the response from the application. HTML content we have received, right? So our application is successfully deployed and running. Like this, you can do all the post checks. What are the checks you required, and if any troubleshooting, any issues are there, also you can you can use these commands to troubleshoot it. I have provided everything in the documentation part. So this is the project, guys. We have created EKS cluster, and is there we have configured the Jenkins server and SonarQube server as well as, and finally we have deployed our application, Spring Boot application using CI/CD pipeline by along with the Helm charts. Okay, thank you. I will provide the this uh, my GitHub repo URL in the video description. You please find and try to do the same. If you get any, if you have any issues, please let me know in the comment. Thank you. Thank you very much.